Welcome to the next episode of Gray Mason Gaming Plays Neptunes Pride. This episode is going to be like one of my other ones where I'm going to do the whole game in one sitting, and hopefully it'll be more brief and interesting to folks. This is the very first game in the 64-player version where Jay, who is the developer of the game, added some spice. The map is not always the same and the settings aren't always the same. So for example, if you look in the settings here, you'll notice trade is very expensive, $50 per level instead of 15. That will be a huge impact and a deterrent to trade. The other thing that happens is there's some random warp gated stars to start. And then of course the map is a circle and not the normal map. This episode, and again I know how it ends, is really to highlight, in my opinion, how to be a good ally. You can't win every game. In my opinion, you should go into every game with the goal to win. But inevitably, you need to also identify when can I not win. And in my world, the next priority, if I can't win, I want someone on my alliance to win, someone who I've worked with. Well, I want to get the top 3 and have someone in my alliance win. If I can't get in the top 3 and have my alliance win, then I will try to help someone in my alliance win at the sacrifice of myself. And that's what's going to happen in this game. I get to a point where I say, the best thing that could happen is I bolster up an ally, and if I don't do that, the enemy alliance will win, and everyone on our alliance loses. So I, of course, would rather have just won this game, but I don't win this game. As a matter of fact, I end on 1 star. But my alliance wins, and I want to showcase this because in this game you'll see another person on our alliance who doesn't have that mentality, and it really hurts us. So if you're watching this and saying, hey, how can I get better, identify when you can win and then go for it by all means, but then be realistic on when you can't and say, how can I help my allies win, and what can I do to make that happen? Because you know what, I'm pretty sure the person I helped win will be very willing to help me win in the future if the roles are reversed. So let's get into it. Let's go into the game. So here we are at cycle 0, and I spawned here at the 3 o'clock position in a circular galaxy. And of course, what this means is, just like always, your neighbors are key. So I look to see who my neighbors are. Elvis No Name. Mortium's got some badges. Okay, that's good. Riviera. Those are my immediate neighbors, and of course I'm going to reach out and find out who is who. I have this guy Fjiv, we'll call him E. IHG. Oh, by the way, that's Jay. That's the guy who wrote this game. I would love to ally with Jay. Orenberry. And then Soulfire. If you've watched any of my other videos, I had one where I allied with Soulfire and we won. I won. And he was a great ally. So, out of the gates, I'm seeing a couple of things. I'm seeing Jay, who would just be cool to ally with the guy who wrote the game. I'm seeing Soulfire, and I'm seeing this dude here, Mortium, who's got some badges and clearly some victories, knows what he's doing. And then after that, Sloth King, they don't know anything. The other one is Sweebs, who I just played with in the custom Stone Ape custom game, and he was the one that helped me fake my death, and so that's a potential as well. So as we start to progress, and again, the first thing you're doing is you're just establishing boundaries, and you're looking for who's going to be around and who's going to be alert and active and playing the game. And my vision, of course, is very limited, but you'll notice already on cycle 13, I have the API of Mortium. We very quickly established trust and said, you know what, let's work together. And I actually found out that Mortium is Osric, who is the author of the Neptunes Pride agent. So this is spectacular because throughout the game he gives us tons of hints at how to use the tool that he wrote in ways well beyond I understood. And again, if you haven't tried the Neptunes Pride agent, you should, because especially in the big 64-player games, you're going to be at a disadvantage by not having some of the power that it provides. So right away I said, yes, let's do this. And right away I get an arrangement with Soulfire, who is also on board, and I think I'll get his API shortly as well. And we said, well, if I have allies with those three, odd man out is going to be Elvis. So he's going to be my first target. The other thing is you'll notice that I got a couple of warp gates here. And you'll notice that Riviera hasn't really moved. He has one carrier. He hasn't done anything. So I'm like, looking back at the map, this whole cluster here is looking really good. And so I just have to break through that starting spot. And I even we both get a little warp gate to make it easier. So goal 1, kill Elvis. Goal 2, get through Riviera while he's AFK and steal these stars. And so that's what we start doing. You'll see us going, and let's bring up the leaderboard. We're already on to cycle 1, and boom, right there. I don't know if you caught it. I went through and I took it. I had to spend 40 ships. I lost 20 because I'm still level 1, but speed is of the essence. To me, it was more important because if this player here, green triangle, gets range 2, he can make that, and I prioritize expansion over all else. So we carry on. Also, I noticed that Elvis No Name was being rather quiet. So I'm going to back up. See how he attacked up here and he's attacking down there. He left his flank open, and so I just said, you know what, let me just go through and let me just take some stars for free while you're just doing other things. I obviously didn't bring enough to do any real damage, but let's take what you can, because we knew this guy is not an ally long term, and then we're figuring out what's going on up there. So we progress. I'll talk a little bit about some of the other politics. I tried to talk to Jay, didn't get much. He basically said, I said, hey, you want to ally? And he said, good luck, have fun. I'm like, all right, that's not agreeing to ally. Sweebs also reached out and wanted to ally, and basically what I said is, I'm going to defer that to Soulfire. I'm going to be pushing north. The other thing that happened is Mortium started making arrangements with E, who is a new player, and he's like, I have a soft spot in my heart for new players. I want to help them out. Let's bring them on board. And so I will move north with E. Not thrilled, but I figure let's go for it. And if they're not good, I figure I'll just outpace them anyway, and so no big deal. So that's kind of what it's shaping up to be. Me and E going north, Soulfire, Mortium going south. Mortium's having a little bit of trouble because Elvis No Name's all over him, and so this is how we're starting here. We are in cycle 2, and nothing extraordinary else happening right now. People are just expanding. I do make contact. I see a warp gate. That'll be good, but again, my priority is clear up the middle so we can connect and get tech, and then clear off Riviera and kind of push up along the outside. So that's the vision. Now, there's other politics going on as well. Of course, people are talking. Because the expense of trade of tech is so high, it's really hard to look at the rest of the map and get a sense of who's with who. So we're on cycle 3. One thing we noticed, this exponent up here getting big. A little concerning. We look down here in this corner, we see Macomber and Lawrence, both strong players. So I'm like, okay, they're going to team up, and they're with the Jewish Star Empire. Like, okay, this is a troubling area I'm not super thrilled about. And then up in this corner, you have Silver Solstice, who is Lyra. And then you have Cabal, who's up here and has been very active in the diplomacy. And is a strong player. And then you have Venji here. So these are some of the key names to look out for, who's doing well at this early stage in cycle 3. So back to progress. Let's zoom back in a little bit, and you can see here at this point, I thought I had the API already of Soulfire. I don't know why I didn't have it. Why it's not showing up. I think it will. So we've gotten now to this point. Elvis No Day name is down to just the one, his home star, and one down here. So not a huge deal. I'm now starting to move my forces back up to kill Riviera, who, by the way, showed up. He showed up on like right before the AFK marker and was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm still here." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, okay, you're too far behind. I have to kill you now." So I kill him. I mean, there's really not much more. It's just you can't miss like the first 2 days. Anyway, so we're moving on. We're already to cycle 5, and at this point, I'm done with Riviera, and I'm just balls to the wall. I'm top of the leaderboard. I'm doing great. I can't show the stats, but I'm doing really good. I had some easy victories here. I had a really nice, clean huge burst of stars here. I had a mostly AFK player, but then he didn't go AFK, which is actually even better. And I took his star. So I'm basically controlling the stars of 2 empires right now. And I'm going into this guy who is AFK. Easy money. Jay's still doing okay. It was about here where Jay's like, "Hey, you're doing well, let's ally." I'm like, "That's not how this works, Jay." But I agreed, with the full intention of stabbing him. But, got to get to him first. All right, so we continue. We're in cycle 5. And at this point, I believe we've solidified our agreement with Sweebs. And between Sweebs and Soulfire, they're going to just clear out this bottom part. Mortium was struggling with basically everyone attacking him, but he played like a boss. But those 3 were going to push west because I was very concerned about Macomber, Lawrence, JSE, and it was really hard to tell like how many of these other empires were with them as well. Venji starts to show up on the board with me and Exponent as the top 3 players. Don't have a good sense of all the politics, but again, it was at cycle 6 where that name started becoming a little more prevalent, and something to watch. We move forward. We're at cycle 6. I finally make landfall up here, and taken out. Oh, yeah. I talked Riviera into taking his ships and attacking green, and then he did. I just asked. So here's the thing. Even though you're attacking someone, sometimes people are just really nice, and you say, "Hey, would you be willing to?" In this case, I said, "Hey, would you be willing to move all your ships off?" Let's kind of zoom back in and go back a little. Let me just show you what Riviera did for me. So Riviera is the purple hexagon, and so so here's what I said when he was late. So I'm going back in time a little bit because it's kind of funny. So here's what it looked like, and I wanted his stars right there, and so I said, "Hey, let's ally up. I'll give you range if you go attack them." And he said, "Okay." And he logs in like once a day, right? So I said, "Just go ahead and collect all your stuff." So he did. And the second I saw him go, I went to take his home star. Now, some people may say that's being an asshole. And I guess it is. Either way, though, he did it. So my thought is, it's part of the game. And at this point, I'm like, oh, now I have to deal with these 300 ships here. I've gotten all his stars. He's down to 3 stars these 2 about to go, right? And I say, "Hey, you know what? You're pretty much it. Can you just go attack him?" And he's like, "Okay." So he did. And I said, "I'll follow you in." And he's like, "You know what? I'm just learning the game." So I'm like, "All right, cool. Let me know I can help." And I can help by taking your stuff. So again, I just got his stuff. And so then I'm like, "Oh," he's like, "What do I do now?" I'm like, "Oh, just keep attacking. Kill off the AI." So he softens it for me. So the question is like, how do you get so high on the leaderboard? You need to get a little lucky. You need to get lucky, like a guy mostly AFK where you take all his expansions that no one else can reach, and then you convince him to completely vacate his stars while you kill him. And then after you completely stab him, he still goes and takes out AI. Like, That's a really good start. I'm cycle 6. I'm sitting large. Like you can't. How do you beat that, right? Like how do you get better than that? I'm doing great. But it doesn't win games because there's more to it than that. So anyway, he goes off. He goes up into there, and it was right here at cycle 7 where Venji takes over the leaderboard, and continues to become a really big threat. Okay, I think here's where, I still don't have his vision. I had it. I don't know why the time machine's not picking it up, but it's fine. And I had the vision of red too. So we're in cycle 8 already. We're flying through the game. My alliance is looking good. Sweebs is grown down here and is looking solid. Soulfire had a little bit of struggle. Mortium had a little bit, but we're all as a foursome. We're looking good. Wait, that's 5-some with E. It's like half a player, but either way. So cycle 8, and we're going, and we saw Jay attacking the big guapo. So he's focused up there. I'm just growing. I'm telling Jay, hey, I'll come help you. What star? Give me a path. He's like, take this star on the edge. I'm like, oh, cool, I'll do that. And meanwhile, the question is, what does E do now? And so we said, well, we could attack Exponent. He's like a big threat here. Between Exponent and Cabal, that's scary over here. And Wii, which is AOAHO. He was press the attack in one of my earlier videos. Really strong player. This is a little bit concerning because this is a power base, and right behind them is Venji, who's growing faster than me somehow. So again, like, you can't get a much better start than me, and this guy is. So he had an outstanding start like myself. Same with Exponent. Like, these are, and this is scary up here. And down here is a little bit softer, and our alliance did a really nice job negotiating. Basically what you had down here was you had Lawrence allied with Macomber, allied with Roth, and so as our alliance was coming in from the east, we knew who our frontline players were in Iwakvaki and Riddle in the Dark. And so they did a wonderful job of working with these two players to hold the line and supply a path, and then later give them their stars, because we were the ones coming to the rescue. So that's another great thing. Find where your big threat is, negotiate with the people that are getting attacked by your threat, help them out. Ultimately, they're going to take the damage, they're going to lose their stars, but they're going to be willing to give them to you. So you want those ships going the other direction and not into you. And Mortium, Soulfire, Sweeps did an outstanding job of killing the weak players in the between, negotiating with the front line of the big threat to hold them at bay. So they did an outstanding job right there. So my oops, am I going here? Yeah, here we go. So we continue killing the AI. And it was here where I'm like, okay, hey, give me a path, Jay, and he's on board with that. But it was here where we said, okay, E, go kill Jay, and we'll just take him out, because while a path through Jay would be fine, we really didn't want him as an alliance member. I just wanted his stars, and it would make us stronger. And so we kind of said, okay, you get those stars, I'll get this clump up here, and that's how we were going to divide it up. And so that was the plan. And you can see I did, at this point here, go up and mess with the big guapo. Big guapo? Yeah, the big guapo. Because I was kind of, again, just, I wanted, if nothing else, the vision. I was kind of hoping to sneak up here, but that was not to be. Cabal was all over it. Down in the south, they're making progress, killing off an AI, another person that quit. Stumblefoot was just getting overwhelmed by our team, And we continue. Now, we are trading tech and things are already pretty expensive. It's cycle 10. And we'll go a little faster here. It was at this point where we started to attack Jay, and it was about this point that Jay quit. Yeah, he quit. Actually, he quit like 2 turns after E attacked him, before I even attacked him. So technically, I didn't stab him. He quit before I had the opportunity to. I intended to. He quit too fast for me to. So technically, I have not betrayed Jay. I just was going to. And so yeah. So I get up here. I lose my stuff to El Guapo. And again, now we're in we're clearing out Jay, and we look at the map, and what we see here is Venji is even 20% bigger than I am, and working with and has the same tech as Cabal. This is scary, and this Wii U is looking pretty solid too. And so I'm concerned that I'm going up against the strength of our opponent with a new player who doesn't communicate super well. So what I'm looking for is, can I break through? And I start negotiating with Morty. I'm saying, hey, I need your help. I'm not going to win. These players are going to be too strong for us, and we're going to get outplayed. I can't take on Cabal and Wii U, and then into Venji. I'm not going to happen. So, and they're doing well. So there's 3 going that way, and I got a new player. Come on up. So we start doing that negotiations. And E doesn't really like it. But Mortium's the one that brought him on, so that was what they were working to do. So continuing our push, and I did have all this vision. Again, I guess that's not the point here, but and at this point, I am now engaging with. We have an AI, but I'm up against Cabal Society. So this is the first real test of the game. Early stages was just, playtime. Cycle 12, it's getting real now because I have a real opponent to fight. I'm actually fell behind. Cabal ate their friends, or I don't know all the politics, but there was some shit going down. And while I was fighting up here, they surged past and worked really, really well with Wii U. I think, I don't know what they did, but between Cabal, Wii U, and Venji, those 3 are scary. And that's right what I'm facing. There was all the other politics going on, but again, not as relevant right now. We get back to the fight here, and we're at cycle 12. We're negotiating to get Mortium to come up and join me. We'll zoom in a little bit back on this specific fight. And I'm like, well, I dropped down to 4th place. Sweebs, my allies, doing great. E's doing terrible. Like, I know he's new, but we told him like 100 times, hey, you've got like 1 million ships down here, or not, but you've got thousands and hundreds of ships. You need to build some carriers and warp gates and like build a route. And he would take like one ship and just like run it in a circle randomly, like zigzaggy. 14 carriers, and that was after us prodding him like, please, build more carriers, and he wouldn't. So I'm like, Morty, I'm like, we're gonna die. Like we started strong, but we're starting to fall. We're starting to slip. We need to take him out. Can you I mentioned it and he ignored me. I'm like, Morty, I'm like, you brought him in. Can you talk to him? We need to take his stars, or he needs to start like building carriers and helping. Because I thought when I started fighting Cabal, I had 1,000 more ships. I had more production. When you looked at the 2 of us combined, we were easily strong enough to defeat these 2. But that's why you can't always look at the numbers. You got to look at the players. And both of these players are strong. And my ally was just learning. Again, I'm not trying to be mean to E, but they are just learning, and they weren't up for this level of engagement. And so while I'm trying to come in here and make some progress, Cabal's fighting like a boss. We're going tick 14. And while I make a little bit of progress early on, you can see I am slowly making progress. They're playing these nice warp gate games. This little action here, I spent a week of my life trying to take these stars. And this is really pretty much as far as I ever got. And at this point now, we're cycle 15. Venji's surged up to 91 stars. Oh my god, that is a lot of stars at this point. And I'm just stuck. I'm stalemating, maybe slightly progressing. I'm like, E, please send your stuff up. By the way, at this point, E's at 44 stars. He's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8th on the leaderboard because we helped him out so much. But he's not using his resources well. So I'm like, please, Mortium, can you help me? Please, E, can you do something? And finally we decided, I think it looked like right there, he's like, all right, I'm coming up, I'm going to help. Because Sweebs, luckily, is looking like a boss down here. Their negotiations that I mentioned earlier played out beautifully. So the JSE Lawrence Macomber alliance is struggling, and we're coming in strength from the south. So our south is looking good. We stalemated in the north, but Venji up here is just eating everyone, all his prior allies, eating the allies of Cabal, and Cabal's like, yeah, I guess that's cool. And then he's given weapons to Cabal. So Cabal is a very shifty player who, you're like, all right, fine with my ally dying if it helps me. I can respect that. But in this case, it really hurt me, so I wasn't like super cool with it. But like it was a smart move. Like that was the right move. And so we're moving on to fight cycle 15, and I'm struggling to win. And you can see now, I'm right here, cycle 16. I launch, and I said, "That's it. Like we need to kill him. Whatever he's doing, it's not enough, and he's losing stars on his front line. He's not defending, and he's not responding. So I'm like, we just have to take it. Please let us take your stars." And he doesn't. He changes his API on us, and then he gets tech and fights us. So that's what you don't do. If you're an ally, you say, okay, how can I help my team? How can I win? How can I help my alliance? And losing stars to the enemy, and not helping. Like if we let him just sit here, all we do is like the pinks grow, and we just watch Pink take all his stuff. Like what he should have done is said, realize I'm dying here, and so I'm going to throw all my stuff into Pink, and Gray and Mortium, you take my stars. That's what an ally should do when you realize you're dead. He didn't realize he was dead. I'm third on the leaderboard, and I'm not feeling really good. And the cost of transferring techs is becoming extraordinary. So if you look right now, like weapons is going to be 10 next time. Weapons 10 times 50, 500. And how much money do I have? I get 2,000. So just one tech at this point is 25% of my entire monthly income. And if we get like 3 techs, it's like a half your income or more. And I'm third on the leaderboard, and I can't show you the stats because the game's over. But I was about equal on all stats. At one point, I was the highest in everything, and I was struggling. So I knew other people were as well. And that's why when you look at people like E here, like he's behind in all the tech, and we have been trading with. And we look at Cabal. Cabal was behind on a lot of them, but but got fed the weapons from Venji. So at this point, we're like, crap. Our ally just started, we have to take his stars by force. We're already kind of at a stalemate or losing, and now the leader in the game is feeding them weapons to make it even harder. So the North is looking really, really bad at this point. So what do you do? And this is where you need to start being realistic about your prospects in the game. I fight the best I can fight. I hold my ground up in the north, while I'm trying to take some of my ally stars, because I need those stars producing ships that are actually going to do things and fight the enemy. He's fighting back and pushing back, and so at this point I'm like, okay, this is the end. It was costing me, let me go back a little bit, I'll show you the exact, it was right about here. It was right about here where I was like, Sweebs, you're the strongest in our alliance. And it's costing me, who's 4th on board, it's costing me over half of my money for tech. So you're going to send me tech, and I'm going to not upgrade my stars. We're not going to win this fight. Not only do we have these 3 strongest enemies, we have our ally fighting us. Mordium's coming up, but that's not going to be enough. So it was at this point in the game that I said, I can't win. And if I continue just beating my head against this wall, all my stars are basically neutralized, and all my income are going to upkeeping tech that doesn't really do anything. What would help my alliance more, since I can't win and because I'm facing the biggest enemy, is to strengthen my team. And with the more that it costs to upgrade tech, the more value there is in a smaller size of alliance, because you don't need to send the tech. Now, we were already getting rid of E. We needed to get rid of one more. Mordium or myself, Soulfire or Sweeps. Sweeps was the strongest. I was the second strongest, but I was also on the front line against the strongest enemy, where they had a great position in the south. Not only were they pushing back on Macomber and Lawrence, but they had negotiated with people behind them, Silver Solstice, with Luke, which Luke is Luke here, and they were already, and they were making it with Blu-ray. So this contingents right here said that they would push on these guys while we pushed on them, and hold the line here. So we weren't going to make progress up top, but they were going to make progress in the south. So the south is going to get stronger. So the only thing I could do, the best way to help my team, was to give up my stars. So that's what I did. And in the stats, it's going to show as one star. But I don't think Sweebs wins this game if I don't give him my stuff right here on cycle 16. I am literally third on the leaderboard. It's tied for third right now. But I'm still too weak to win the game, and me staying is going to make my team lose. So I do the right thing for my team, and you watch here, and then not only do I just say, okay, I quit, take my stuff, but I make sure that I warpigate my stars, I move off the tick before he lands, he loses nothing. Like, watch this, like the tick before he comes, I leave. And I just went a whole day ahead. But you see, like, very quickly, very efficiently, I give up my stars to Sweebs. And you see what happened? Very quickly, he overtakes Venji. And he is now at 10, 15, 10 against 10, 15, 9. So he took over weapons. Venji was always ahead of us in weapons. He took that over. So now you have Sweebs, Soulfire pushing, Mordium still pushing a little bit, but helping up here. You also have the rest of Sweebs pushing up top. You can see my little sad little empire here getting eaten alive. Freaking E, still not dead, but I've lost everything up on the north. I'm crumbling, but luckily Sweebs comes in and is able to save the day. And so at this point, we're cycle 20. There's all this fighting. I'm just giving up my stars, throwing them into pink. And I'm on 1 star. Cycle 21. Now, the other thing that happened down here, you notice we've lost ground in the north, but look at the huge strides we made in the south. Now, this was all the negotiations. I backed out and totally stepped down. This was Sweebs, Soulfire, Mordium working with this group, and really the Swedes led the charge. And they worked together to kill off this alliance. And at this point, we can probably look at it from this view. We'll just tick forward. We've got another 2 days, almost 3 days to go. I've given up everything I can give up. They've stalemated again over here, but our growth was in the south. So we kept our strength. We mitigated our where the enemy's strength was. We knew we couldn't get our entire team on the podium, but we should be able to claim the win. But it was tight. And at this point, we still could lose. But it was only because of the diplomacy of Sweebs and my team with Blu-ray, with Luke. Sorry if I'm forgetting someone. With this team up here, who they basically also gave up stars. They gave stars to Sweebs and said, we would rather you win than Venji. And so a lot of times it comes down to these people deciding who, they could fight us and give Venji the win, or they could fight Venji and give us the win. Because this was, again, this pink, they were such strong fighters. Even Sweebs could not hold them off. But you see the green growing, and this is our team getting fed and getting stronger here. And if you look back, I'm like super laggy from going on all this data. They're basically letting Sweebs take their stuff. And so this is essentially how the game's going to end. We'll get here to the end. It's very quickly. That was it. And this is how the game ends. So Sweebs, my ally, from early in the game, played a wonderful game. Venji, who played outstanding, got second place and could have won. Was just, I think, a little bit of diplomacy away from winning. Had he had a better diplomatic relationship with this group here, he probably would have won. Soulfire, my day one ally, was very happy, was also able to get on the podium. Mortium, my day 0 ally, got fourth. Didn't get rank, but 1, 2, 3. I'm sorry, 1, 3, 4. It's pretty damn good. And I feel like that is how you play this game when you can't win. You make sure the end result looks like this and not the reverse. So yeah, Cabal and Wii ended up getting, they held on well. I think they were giving up stars at the end as well. But yeah, that's the game. So if you're in a game, try to win. Always try to win. But when you realize you can't win, don't give your stars to the enemy. Give them to your allies. Help your allies win. They'll pay you for it in the future. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, click on the link for the next episode. And don't forget to click subscribe for more content.